I think that the classics sometimes have a handle on a lot of what we have maybe forgotten or maybe don't take as serious because of the locations we live in, and maybe we have gotten a little secure and comfortable in our prosperity in the country that we live in or the place that we reside, so that we don't look at it quite the same as some of the old classics did. And God understands that in every generation we have all choices to make, whether that be to seek to know Him in a more intimate way because of all the distractions that are in the world, which is a type of persecution, or whether it be because of the direct confrontation of a government or a religious system that might be hostile to Christianity and knowing Jesus in a personal way that might cause us to have to suffer and die for our faith. In each and every circumstance, only God Himself can make that determination of where a person's faith really is at, because it's easy to compare apples and oranges and say, well, because the apple is red and the orange is orange, then of course the orange can't be an apple and the apple can't be an orange, and that means that the orange is cast away because it's not red. Well, that's not what God is saying. He has His criteria for all of us, and He's laid it out in His Word, which is a development of a personal relationship with Him, to do those things that we know we ought to do or to not do them. And as He speaks to us, we make our choices. And so in devotionals, we try to understand what those choices are and what God would have us to do each and every day. Disposition and deeds. Except your righteousness shall exceed the righteousness of the scribes and the Pharisees, you shall no wise enter into the kingdom of heaven. Matthew 5:20. The characteristic of a disciple is not that he does good things, but that he is good in motive because he has made good by the supernatural grace of God. God has made him to be good. The only thing that exceeds right doing is right being. Jesus Christ came to put into any man who would let Him a new heredity, which would be and exceed the righteousness of the scribes and the Pharisees. Jesus says, if you are my disciples, you must be right, not only in your living, but in your motives, in your dreams, in the recesses of your mind, in the very thoughts and intents that you have. You must be so pure in your motives that God Almighty can see nothing to censure. Who can stand in the eternal light of God and have nothing for God to censure? Only the Son of God. And Jesus Christ claims that by His redemption, He can put into any man His own disposition and make him as unsullied and as simple as a child, to just simply sit back and let God be in control. The purity which God demands is impossible unless I can be remade within. And that is what Jesus has undertaken to do by His redemption, to put Himself in us, that we would live through Him and He would have His being of us and in us. No man can make himself pure by obeying laws. Jesus Christ does not give us rules and regulations. His teachings are truths that can only be interpreted by the disposition He puts in us. The great marvel of Jesus Christ's salvation is that He alters heredity. He does not alter human nature, He alters its mainspring. The reality of all that God does in us is made manifest by what God has done for us, because He promised that He would literally, in a way that science fiction sometimes, or fiction, or some of these stories we hear, maybe we understand that better than we understand sometimes what God is doing. But we say that a person could be possessed like you see on TV and something comes in and takes over. Well, that is what Jesus is saying. He wants to come in and take over. He wants you to begin to realize that you become dispossessed of your own self and you become possessed of Himself. that he becomes a reality, that you can see that there's something inside you that's growing. Now, at first, that sounds so weird. What do you mean, something inside you that's growing? That sounds freaky. Well, does it? What is a baby inside of a mother? Is it not an individual person who's living inside and has a being that's growing and is an entity that's separate unto itself? That is what Jesus does in a born-again Christian. He causes his spirit to be inside of us as a living, breathing, alternate being that is the Spirit of God dwelling within us, that makes all that Jesus is and his disposition real through us. So at some point in time, you can sense, just like a mother can, the kicking and the moving inside and the growth and the changes in the body and the temperament changes, because a mother does have mood swings and changes in her body that is caused by that which is living inside her. So too does a Christian who becomes born again, not of the flesh, but of the Spirit of God who dwells within them. That is what being born again is. It's no different in a lot of ways than a mother and a baby.